guest. I've got Kate O'Neill the other end of the camera. Well, good morning. Hello. So good to see you all. I'm Jo Phillips, and it's my first takeover week actually with the recruiting gym. It is so good to see you all and have you here after what was an absolutely glorious bank holiday, no matter what the weather was doing, and no matter what we think probably of our monarchy. Let's face it, it was absolutely spectacular. And joining me is my absolutely spectacular guest. I've got Kate O'Neill the other end of the camera. So good morning, Kate.
Morning.
Hi, so good to see you. How are you?
Good, yeah, feeling really rested after a nice long weekend. It was lovely, wasn't it?
So important, isn't it? So important just to rest up and have a bit of time away. And I think actually that's what the topic of our morning really is, just for this particular workout. Where I really wanted to be, and perhaps it's worth me just explaining to those people who perhaps haven't seen my face here previously. I am the newest coach to the recruiting gym. I joined a couple of months ago, and I have the absolutely fantastic honour of working on the leadership development side. Actually, my background, although I'm very new to the gym, my background is, I think it now tots up to nearly 30 years worth of experience in the recruiting industry. And I've worked for the likes of Adecco, Kelly, Staffline, and another niche. And actually, my role has generally been in learning and development, and I spend a lot of my time now working with women in leadership and helping them to get to where they want to get to. And that brings me to the point of this morning, which is to talk about resilience. So I can see that we've got people here. So I'm going to say good morning to Angela. I'm going to say good morning, Catherine. I can see that we've got Libby the other end. So hello. And I guess really the reason it's such a pleasure actually to have you here, Kate, when it comes to resilience is when we look at the background that you've got, and when we look at the amount of work you've packed into the last decade, I mean, you've gone for it, haven't you? From a career perspective, it looks like it's been a fantastic journey, but it looks like it's also been one that's been fairly speedy. It's had a lot of velocity with it. Do you just want to share with everyone kind of what your journey has been to date, just to give us a bit of an overview?
Yeah, so I started in recruitment when I was 23 by accident. So I got made redundant from a call centre sales job I was doing, and just thought I'll get something to tide me over, and then loved it. And I was that agency for just short of 2 years, I think it was. And then I went to the agency where I spent the rest of my career, which was pharmaceutical sales and medical sales recruitment. And I'm a very impatient person. So any of my managers will probably that have ever managed me will vouch for this. I wanted progression very quickly. So I was always at my yearly appraisals asking my managers like for some sort of progression in my job, whether that was sideways or up through the business. And I ended up leading the graduate division in that agency. I think I did that for like about 4 years, I think it was in total. And then I went and set up my own business again because I wanted more progression and to do something different. So yeah, it's gone really quick actually. But when you look back at what you've done, it is quite a steady steady going up the ladder, which is good.
Absolutely. And you can see from your career history that from a trajectory perspective, it's just gone like that. And that actually takes a huge amount of resilience, really. And I guess I'm interested to know, if you were to look back at yourself kind of 10 years ago, what would be the tips? What would be 3 core maybe behaviours or tips that you would have given yourself around the resilience piece to really be able to hold strong in a market that forever changes, I guess?
I think I thought I was resilient at the time, but when I look back, I wasn't. I was very reactive to the circumstances that I faced. So I just thought things happen. That's the way life is. I don't have control over a lot of things. And I reacted emotionally to a lot of those things. I'm an Aries, so I'm very fiery anyway. But when I was 23, I didn't have much control over that. So I wouldn't take rejection very well. I would let it really affect me, like for the whole day. Get it and be in a bad mood about it, get quite frustrated, and just say, there were difficult times with business development or the candidate side. I would just be like, oh my God, this is awful, you know, just very reactive and dramatic around things. When actually, with the knowledge I've got now, I'd say, right, just calm down. You have got control over how you feel and respond to these things, and use more of my mindset to kind of bring me into a more positive, present kind of thinking. I beat myself up a lot about things I'd done, be overly critical, dwell too much on past things, or worry too much about the future. Oh my God, what if I don't hit my target this quarter? And it was like the start of the quarter. Do you know, like stuff like that? I'd just be very in my own head in a bad way. So I think it would just be like, calm down, don't take things so personally, and just take a bit more control over your brain. Because I just let it run away into negative thought processes a lot.
And I think if we've got people who are kind of listening in and no doubt checking emails at the same time and thinking about what they've got to do today, and oh my God, it's another 4-day week, what would be your tips in terms of how they could also take the same approach that you have, which sounds very much as though you've now got control over your mindset, and as though you now recognize maybe when some of that internal dialogue isn't as positive as perhaps it could be?
Yeah, I think it can be easy to think like, and do you know what? I actually made this mistake last week, because I am on a 4-day week anyway. So a bank holiday takes me to a 3-day week. And I kind of got a bit panicky last week. And it was kind of down to listening too much to other people's opinions. And I just thought like, oh my God, I've got to work even longer hours on these 3 days. Like if I don't, all these bad things are going to happen. And people might think I'm a lazy business owner, and, you know, all this stupid stuff. And it was ridiculous, because I made myself less productive because I was knackered after day one. Did way too much. And when you get past a certain point, you're too tired to be properly productive and focused anyway. So I think it's recognizing, okay, we're on a shorter week, but you still need to look after yourself. You still need, you know, to take yourself away from your desk for a bit and get a break, get outside, make sure you're keeping hydrated. If things like the gym, like me, are stress relievers, make sure that's a priority and fit it in. Because those 4 days, if you want them to be as productive as they can be, you need to be in your best, the best version of yourself. And overworking yourself is not going to do that.
It's so true. It's so true. And Kate, I have to say, as you know, I'm an avid fan of you. You know that I follow you on Instagram. You know that I hop onto your YouTube channel. You know that you're my first guest for this week. And so whenever I see you, I see, you know, we get to see all sides of Kate, really. We get to see Kate's either running, she's gone for a walk on the beach. You're telling us about the Reiki that you're going to. So I guess I'm interested to know, how do you maintain your resilience? Because it is a real journey, isn't it, being a business owner, and particularly in this industry. So how do you maintain that resilience piece?
There's just little things, because I can be quite critical of myself. I only started this in the last week, actually. I'll do little things like before bed, I'll take a moment to reflect on the successes of the day. So I think about even just little things, like little things that have gone well. I know what a good stress reliever is for me. If I'm the best version of myself, I'm incredibly resilient. So I need to make sure that I'm not stressed, that I'm not tired. The gym is a stress reliever. Running is a stress reliever. You know, getting outside for walks is a stress reliever. So I know if I'm doing all those things, any knocks that I get in my business, which you do every day, it's the same as recruitment, I'm able to deal with them a lot better. But also, I think resilience comes a lot from knowledge and confidence in areas. So if I'm sensing a lack of resilience, factoring time in my day to reflect on learnings around things, or like, why do I feel like that? Is there something I want to go and look into more and research? Or I think it all comes back to mindset again, doesn't it? Basically, it's all mindset stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally relate to that. And I know certainly with the women in leadership that I work with, one of the first places that we start is to really recognize our achievements. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned this piece around reflecting at the end of each day and actually looking at, what have I achieved? And those might not be these gargantuan seismic achievements that change the world, but they might be these smaller achievements that then all incrementally all add up to them being a change.
Aren't they?
Exactly that. Stepping stones. Yeah, exactly that. That's it. And I think certainly in this market is so challenging at the moment. It's really changing. It's kind of going back to what it was 3 or 4 years ago. And I guess I'm wondering, what will be the guidance? What will be the advice? What would you what would you suggest for people who are maybe looking at pipelines that never came to anything, who are maybe in a position where they've got candidates who now have decided to stay put because they're worried about the market? What would you be saying to them in terms of their resilience for the next 6 months or so?
Yeah, I spoke to a group about this, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, is that what we're experiencing now is more normality in the recruitment world. It's not going in a downward spiral, it's just going back to normal. And I think you just need to ask yourself why you joined recruitment. How did you think it was going to be easy? I don't think anybody joins recruitment thinking it's going to be easy. So if you reflect on that and think, okay, I didn't join this industry because it was easy. Maybe you joined it because you knew it was challenging. That was a motivator. And to think, well, this is what challenging feels like. This is what hard feels like. This is what a difficult role feels like. This is why I think recruitment's so great. We're in an industry where it's not an easy job. So actually it's at the moment, in terms of resilience, it's almost easier sometimes to stand out because there's not as many resilient people in the world and in our industry these days. So if you can tap into that and really think, you know what, I'm not going to let that candidate stay in their job bring me down. I'm not going to let the fact that I've struggled to bring in the clients I thought I would this month. That's okay, that's normal, but it's how do I learn from this? What can I do differently? How can I stand out from the crowd? How can I be different? And how am I going to push forward and make sure I'm successful? And it could be little things like, I'm going to make sure I do a positive affirmation meditation every morning, or I'm going to make sure that at the end of every day I reflect on what I've done well, what I could do differently, and leave it on a post-it by my desk. Do you know, just those tiny little things that 90% of your peers and competitors won't be doing. And all those little things are going to build up your resilience, but make bigger changes than you think to how you manage your desk and your day. So I think you don't have to do, like you said, anything crazy and like massive. It's just sometimes these little things that help your mindset, your resilience, your confidence, and help you just keep going. And that will help you stand out and be a better recruiter than most people.
And Kate, you know where I'm going to go next. You and I know that you are the queen of BD, right? I saw you up on that stage in terms of the recruitment expo, and oh my goodness, for anybody who hasn't been to the expo, there's one main stage that's enormous, and Kate, we were packed in. There were people who couldn't even sit down, weren't there, for your talk. So
yeah, it's a big topic at the moment, isn't it?
It's a huge topic, and I guess, we know you're the queen of the topic, right? There's nothing that you don't know about it. And so I'm really interested to know, what will be some of your tips for this week for people's resilience when it comes to that business development piece? What would be those kind of key motivators statements maybe that you would give to people just to really be on point for the next few days?
I think don't take rejection see it more as an objection. I think what I'm hearing a lot at the moment, and this isn't just people new to recruitment, this is people of different experience levels, they'll get rejection from a prospective client and they'll kind of take that as a no and end it there. And actually we need to explore that. Actually, that's another, I see it as a buying signal in a way for more probing, more effective questioning, more things to explore, more things to unpack. So I think it's handling rejection more as objections. I've just never taken no for an answer, really. Like, say I feel like I've hit a dead end with a prospective client, I won't leave it forever. I'll leave it for a few months and then I'll come back again. And I think it's being really creative. So thinking about, right, it's not working with this prospective client and I know I can add value, but for example, I've only been emailing. That's clearly not working with this person or these people. So what can I do differently? What can I try next time? And doing that with each client, you could do it with your team if you want, like a brainstorming session around, right, what are the clients we're struggling with? How can we help each other? What are you doing that I'm not? What am I doing that can help you? And supporting each other and just G'ing each other up and sharing your experiences. I think sometimes we can be a bit afraid to, and I was like this early in my career, I didn't want to admit that I was struggling with anything because that might be seen as failing, and I've got to be the best at everything and I can't be seen to not be doing well. When actually, if I just asked for help or been a bit more open, it would have been a bit of a weight off my shoulders. And I think at the moment, if there's a few of you struggling, or even if the whole team is a BD, get in a room together and talk about it. can make a huge difference, because people might have new ideas you've never thought about before.
Absolutely. And I think it's about, it's personal resilience as much as about business resilience, isn't it? And part of that is sharing ideas and really being in a position whereby maybe you even look at, look at your previous client spenders list, look at everybody who's recently spent and see, just check we've all spoken to the right contacts. Is there anybody we're missing?
Yeah, I think that is, the agencies that I've seen do that have done really, really well. And yeah, working, it's not to say that you've got to kind of go after the clients together if that's not what you want to do, but just by talking about it,
Exactly.
letting not some steam out, having a bit of a rant or sharing successes, all these things, you can really work together and it feels more of a team effort.
Absolutely.
Bringing in new clients. So I think that would have helped me, I think, in my early career, definitely.
For sure. So, Kate, that I could speak to you all day long, right? I've got questions that I could ask you all day long and happily sit with you. But unfortunately and sadly, our time is up. That is the daily workout for Tuesday the 9th of May. So I can't thank you enough for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you everyone for being there. Have a fabulous day. And I'll look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow morning with Gary Lincoln from TXM.